boys and girls, you know what they say, be careful what you wish for. I wanted to haul big and heavy. It's a Cat 336EL, so weighs 78,500 pounds. That's real weight based on my empty weight, and I scaled the truck after I was loaded. Massive boom, you know, huge tracks. Check this out. And this is the first time I used my boards, which came in very handy. And so what I did is, see, this is the middle of the track, right? So I put my measuring tape in here and measured the distance between the centers of these two tracks, and it was more than 8.6, which means that, of course, less than half would be sitting here. But actually now it looks like okay, but you know, especially now it's slippery, I'd rather have this, so this is more safer. But once again, I was screwed up by this plate because I wanted to put a chain on the track and put it in here, but because of that plate I could not do it, so I had to improvise and put a chain here on the top. But basically that's how you tie down an excavator, right? Of course you need to have something on your stick, and then inside usually there's some holes in there, but the trick with those is they're too small. So for some reason I had a brain freeze and I forgot that I have those clamps. Well, maybe they wouldn't be actually I think they would be too big to go inside either. But anyway, so I had to disconnect the pin. You see, like this pin over here, just disconnect this pin and pull out this thing and just thread the chain in the hole and then reconnect. And reconnecting is a pain in the butt because this thing spins, you know. But I did it, ladies and gentlemen. With these hands I drove this massive machine on my trailer with no help whatsoever. Yeah, and then I put another one over here, and she just grab it at the end of the hook. And I ran out of long chains, so I used the dual short chains. But here, this what I wanted to do in the back. You see, I hooked up the edge of the track and put it in there because it's open, right? And then do a cross in here. Beautiful. But knowing the weight, and Caterpillar website says 82,000 pounds, and my paperwork said 77, so the correct weight was 78.5. That's pounds. And so I decided I needed 4 pairs of chains, right? So one, that's one pair, 2, 3, 4 in the back, 5. And that's what I always recommend people to do, is install some extra chains. Let's see if I can climb in here without killing myself, and I'll show you what it looks like inside. Alright, so this is what I drove, ladies and gentlemen. And loading took I was at the port at 8 and I left at 2. And this was a race against time because I had to get out of Maryland before 3 o'clock. That was my permit said. But you see, this is real easy here. This is much better than the Tiger Cat. I'm sorry to say Tiger Cat, but for the driver, this setup is much easier. It does have paddles as well. You can use the paddles forward, backwards, but this is much more precise. You just use these controls like a, you know, I understand this as a Russian because that's, you know, Russian tank T-34. That's how you operate it. I like that. So these don't do anything, that's just support, but this is the movement, right? That's your computer display, and that's how you start it with this key. But you must have your seatbelt on, otherwise it won't start. And these handles, these joysticks, control the boom and the rotation of the tower. See these two joysticks? And then you have to have this down, because right now it's not gonna move. So you have to, yeah, see, it's locked. So you have to pull it down, and then there's a little plastic part, like a little barrier, comes out here, and that means that you can operate it. And very quiet machine, you know, very nice. And then of course here you see all the pictures, tell you what to do, you know. but there was no tricks. Like some of them, you know, they have special switches that you have to turn on or off in order to start it. Like Tiger Cat had like 2 or 3, you know, master switches. If you didn't know where they are, you couldn't drive it. Like this one was real easy. You just turn the key, you know, as long as you have your seatbelt on and you have this thing down, you can start moving it. And so it didn't take too long to load this, but of course the trick is how to stay in the center, right? And I was just looking at the edge of the track and that crack between the boards. And of course I'm not an excavator operator, so I had to back up and down a little bit. You see how here it's the distance from the edge, from the crack, well, like 3 fingers, and here it's a bit bigger. Actually, I did it on purpose because my truck is facing that way, so you know, when you're in the curb lane most of the time, it's better to have a bit more weight on this side. So everything is good. Beautiful machine. And these are my boards. See, I just put 2 boards. And of course, because the tracks are still, you know, when you're loading, you don't need them in here. Like, you know, some agricultural machines, their tires are so wide they cannot even touch the trailer. So then you have to come up with something here. But this one, I just started driving and put them in there. And the only problem I had a problem with the trailer. See this stupid thing in here? This box controls the airflow. There's a button on the other side, and this is my red hose. So then when you pull the button, the air goes in here on this hose, and you see now it's disconnected because the button got froze. So you have to put the air in here to lift the pin. It's like the king pin. No, it's not like the king pin. Basically like a safety pin, right? And I couldn't disconnect from the trailer. Just spent like 3 hours asking for favors from different people. And one guy just, you see, and it broke off. Because I tried to pull it, it froze, you know, seized completely. And I couldn't just pull it out. So I couldn't pull out that kingpin. See over there? And the way this is set up is that this has a spring. It's kind of like an air brake chamber. And there's a notice on the other side that says, don't open this because you can die. Well, that's not what it says, but the gist is the same. So there's a spring in here. So when there's no air pressure in this chamber, the spring pulls it down. So now it's locked. But as soon as you add air in there, it pops out. And so this guy, what he did, he replaced the see now he has just a regular chuck in there, right? So he replaced the valve that was in there with this chuck, and then he just used the compressor from his truck, air compressor. Yeah, what was there before was this, right? And so we removed it, and he just put some air in there, and right away that pin pop up, you know. And then so I was able to disconnect, and then when I hooked back, because it's spring loaded, I just drove back and it fell into place. There's like a hole in there, right? So but now I gotta fix it because I won't be able to unload. So now I'm at this TA truck stop, waiting for a mechanic to come out, and I'm gonna show them, and I'll just install. I'm not gonna bother with this stupid thing because it keeps freezing, right? I'll just install a couple of taps in there, make sure they're secure. So all we need is just a little bit of air, but that's what it is. Big machine, and so I cannot drive anymore because it's already noon, and today's Saturday, so that's it. I gotta stop till Monday because there's no driving in New York, and this is Dansville, New York. No driving on Sunday or past 12 o'clock on Saturday. So that's it. My hard work is over. Oh, and a couple of notes about the truck, how it was pulling. Of course, I had to shift, but you know, on a straight road, goes, you know, 58, 60, 62, whatever you want, but of course as soon as you go uphill it starts dying. But that's the nature of the beast, right? Right now I'm at 122,500 pounds, so you know it's a heavy weight. So my first big load. Oh, just found another tie down here. Check this out. Wow, that's an interesting place. But again, actually here, that big hook probably would have fit in here. I don't know. But that's the first time I see a tie down in there. Huh. But that's what it is. Drive slow, you know, be safe, use more chains than required. And watch your mirrors because it's wide, you know, you don't want to hit any poles or trees or something. So